This morning and every morning, we break down every game of the day. Whether you're gambling in lines, playing fantasy, DFS, don't matter, we got you. If you stay to the end, we'll tell you how you can win a signed jersey. Let's get into it. So, Joe, did you have a good time off?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
All right, let's get into it. First game of the week, we have the Baltimore Ravens at the Washington football team.
Washington's favored by 14.5. It turned it up from 13. The Ravens' offensive passing ranked 32nd. Offensive rushing, they're ranked 5th. Defensive passing, they're ranked 26th. Defensive rushing is ranked 10th. Whereas the Washington football team, their offensive passing is also ranked 29th. Their offensive rushing is ranked 25th. Defensive passing is ranked 5th. Their defensive rushing is ranked 22nd.
Over-under's 45.5. How'd the injuries look?
So the main guys we have out for Washington is Steve Sims on the outside. He's going to be out with a toe injury. And Chase Young is not going to play in this game, so that's going to hurt their pass rush a little bit in this one. Other than that, Baltimore is fairly healthy for this one, so they should be good to go. This week for Redskins, they're going to be playing from behind a lot, so they're going to have to throw a lot, obviously. Gibson has been getting a lot more recently. He's getting about 2 to 3 targets a game. He's starting to get more involved in the run game, more carries per week. He's starting to out-touch Peyton Barber, and he's getting a little less involved, and he's starting to get more red zone carries.
So the Ravens have a good rushing offense. Is that from the backs, you think, in this game, or is that going to be mostly Lamar?
Lamar helps, but they utilize every single running back, so it's kind of hard to pick one running back. But as a whole, that just makes a very good rushing attack.
Yeah. Haskins has struggled a lot more than expected this year. Their secondary isn't great, but I mean, Lamar played like a quarterback. You take away his runs, and he's got to play like a QB, and he's just not a good QB.
Yeah, he struggled against Kansas City.
He struggles against every winning football team.
Yeah.
If you could take away his legs, he's not good. The problem is I don't think they can take away his legs. So he's going to be good. He's going to go up against soft coverage because they're going to have to keep 8, 9 in the box. And he's going to be throwing with people who have one-on-ones on the outside and are wide open. So I can't see him having a bad game. A good defense can destroy him. Washington isn't that. So Lamar could have 5 touchdowns in this game. Trying to run up the score, trying to look better because he looked like...
Especially after last week, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I do see garbage time being beneficial. I mean, Scary Terry is good. Scary Terry could easily have a big day. I think McKissick is the back you want because they're going to be down so far. I really like what Inman's been showing, but he's a little banged up. He's like the only possession receiver they have.
Well, other than him, you have about Logan Thomas. He's getting a lot of targets. He has a lot of upside. Whether or not he does with those targets, he can go for 50 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah. A sneaky play here is Washington's defense. Just because people like Lamar who run up, they get sacked a lot because they're scrambling around. They tend to count them as sacks if they get tackled at the line. So I don't know if you want a long shot defensive play. Well, what do you think, Joe?
Lamar Jackson is the team. I mean, like you say, he's not a very good quarterback when he's forced to throw. He's one of the lowest QBRs. He leads the team in rushing, which doesn't give much value to Ingram or Dobbins.
And they're splitting the loads.
Yeah, it's fantasy-wise, if Lamar Jackson, you really don't want much else on your starting on that. What worries me about Washington, with Chase Young being out, even though he's a rookie, he's still pretty effective for that Washington defense, which gives Lamar Jackson, I think, that brief second more back there behind that line to be able to scramble or try and complete something deep. That being said, I mean, Washington's defense still is not that good. Lamar's going to still have a huge day against them.
How do you guys predict this game going out?
Well, obviously, I have the Ravens. I think they're going to win 41-13.
Yeah, I think the Ravens are going to win too. I thought it would be closer, but with Chase Young being determined out, which I didn't think it was that severe originally. I have 28-13. I'm going to stand by that. I think it's competitive, but I wouldn't doubt it if it ended up looking 41-13.
Yeah.
I got Washington scoring a few more points. I got Ravens 37, Washington 17.
You think they change quarterback in this one?
No, I think Haskins. I think Haskins is fine. I think he looked like a young quarterback this year, and a lot of rookies look good because there's no film on them, and then that's why they're dubbed sophomore slump. So, I think he's going to struggle for a little while till he kind of gets back into it. I still think he could be the guy. I mean, he's not blowing us away, but he's usable, you know, and he likes Scary Terry, so.
That's a good
Yeah.
thing.
And like you said, he's not a terrible quarterback. I mean, he can scramble when he needs to. He just doesn't depend on his feet the way somebody like Jackson would.
Yeah.
We have the Chargers at Tampa Bay.
Chargers are getting 7 in this one.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Their offensive passing is ranked 8th. Their offensive rushing is 6th. Defensive passing is 9th. Defensive rushing is 11th.
That's solid.
That is a solid across the board top 10s. Tampa Bay, not so good. Offensive passing surprisingly 18th. Offensive rushing is 27th. Their defensive passing is 14th, and their defensive rushing is 3rd.
Yet they're favored.
It's that offense, which is hurting right now. They do not have Chris Godwin out there, and they do not have Leonard Fournette, so this is going to be Ronald Jones' game. Hopefully he can take advantage of that. Then on the other side, for the Chargers, you have Tyrod. He's still out. Mike Williams, he's going to be out with a hamstring, and they're missing 2 offensive linemen this week. So that's definitely going to help the Chargers in their pass rush and their run stop, really. I think with Godwin out, and then you have Evans on the other side, I think Scotty Miller has a good game. He should play in the slot, although with Justin Houston in, he'll probably take away a little bit of those slot targets, but Scotty will still play on the outside. And I see him having a pretty great week this week, especially since Chris Harris Jr. was ruled out for the Chargers, their cornerback, and he should be going up against him. He would have went up against Godwin, so I would assume he'd see him some of the time, good amount of the time. I see Miller coming out here having a 6-catch game, roughly over 100 yards and a touchdown. He had that almost when Godwin was out. He dropped that touchdown, so I think he gets it this week.
Yeah, over-under's 45. It's probably about right. No Tyrod makes Chargers a good team.
Helps him.
I do like Scotty Miller here. With Fournette out, I think Ronald Jones will get more time. We can kind of guess that. But Vaughn's going to come back. He's going to come in. He's going to get a little bit of work. It's still a backfield I want no part of.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of my understanding is I don't ever, even if you have Fournette and Ronald Jones and they're both healthy, you can't start either one because they can't be game scripted. You can't.
It's hard.
So it's just going to be a headache that I don't want to deal with, personally.
Might be a little clearer towards the end of the season.
Maybe.
Tampa has all the weapons that Brady needs to be a good team. I just don't think Brady has the arm anymore to keep going deep to Godwin or Evans. And I think that's what's hurting the Buccaneers right now. He's more of the short game, helps the tight ends out. I think that's why they brought Gronk in the first place, even though Gronk's the number 2 or 3 tight end in that team. Just for that extra, hey, here's your buddy, toss it off to him.
Get that red zone presence.
Your shoulder ain't what it used to be.
Yeah.
I think we might actually see a real-life version of the $1 Million Man. He's going to get like a prosthetic machine arm, and Brady's going to be throwing passes till he's 85 years old. How do you guys see this one playing out?
Well, for this one, I got the Buccaneers. I think it's going to be a fairly close one-score game, 2013.
I think the Chargers win this. I think Tampa Bay stays close because of Tom Brady, but 24-20 Chargers.
Yeah, you're alone on that one. I got the Buccaneers winning by 10, 24-14.
Chargers play hard in division games.
The Chargers are a good team. Tom Brady's old. I don't really need to say much else.
I just believe the Chargers should basically go into rebuild mode, start Herbert, let him start to develop with the team and start building around him.
I don't think you can do that. Their team's too good right now to just go into rebuild mode.
Do you think they're that good, though, with Taylor at quarterback?
Wait, no, but Taylor's not a quarterback.
He will be.
You think they're that good with Herbert at quarterback to win right now?
I don't think
within
Taylor
the next 2 years
will be their quarterback. When he gets healthy and he comes back, if he gets healthy
he'll
and
lose
comes
the
back,
job.
he's going to lose the job.
So then, with that being said, then you believe Herbert is the guy to help them out be a good team this year?
I think that they could go much farther than if they were just trying to rebuild. I think they could go to the playoffs.
I mean, they should. The only thing that's really changed is Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, but that's a tight stretch, though, in that division.
Well, I mean, that means they're getting 30 less interceptions a year.
Yeah, that's so it's
So they're a playoff team.
I mean, you got the
can-
Chiefs.
yeah.
The Raiders are not a bad team in that division as well. So, I mean, that puts the Chargers at least third.
Yeah, I like them here. Seattle Seahawks at Miami Dolphins.
The Dolphins are getting 7 in this one, up from 6.5.
Okay.
The Seahawks, their offensive passing is ranked 5th. I'm surprised to see that low. Their offensive rushing is 16th. Defensive passing is 32nd. Their defensive rushing is ranked 2nd. That's amazing. Miami's offensive passing is ranked 25th. Their offensive rushing is 20th. Defensive passing is 25th. Defensive rushing, 25th.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit because Seattle gets up so early that I think teams just become one-dimensional. I think a lot of people just, at least the teams that they've played thus far, they just don't run the ball. I don't think their defense,
in order to keep up. Yeah,
I don't think their defense is really that good. I just think they're just not getting a lot against them in that category. But 54.5, it's a pretty high over/under. I like the Dolphins and what they're doing, but I don't know if I put them in the same category as Seahawks.
no.
No.
So Seattle this week has Jamal Adams, Quentin Dunbar, and Jordan Brooks out. So their secondary is hurting this week. It'll make it a little bit easier on the Dolphins to move the ball through the air. As for the Dolphins, they have Byron Jones out. So they're not doing too bad right now. They can't really stop Seattle. I don't see them stopping this offense right now. So they can only do so much to hold them. It's just whether or not they can keep up. I see the Seahawks going up in this one. I think Chris Carson should have a game, although he is a little banged up. So if they go up, I expect Hyde or Homer to get a little bit more involved in this one. But it doesn't really matter who's getting used. Whoever is going to get good touches in a good offense.
Yeah, the Seahawks defense is terrible. You can say what you want about the rushing defense. I don't think that's been tested yet. Russell Wilson's the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. Like I said, though, Lockett will get the volume, and DK will get the chunk plays. They're both great. I mean, Miami's offense is good. Win Fitzmagic's good. He's one of those guys that he'll have great games, and then he'll have okay games, and then he'll have really bad, terrible games. So it kind of depends on what Fitzmagic you get. Preston is very athletic and has a really good build. He's having trouble getting separation. He's a lower draft pick guy who started really early. It's going to take him a little bit longer, but I think once he figures it out, and this isn't a bad matchup, but he's having trouble separating. He wins jump balls, so he's gonna get some throws here. He might be a risky play, but I think you probably could play him now, opposed to any other time up until this point. Parker should be okay. Gesicki's my guy. He's gonna get the majority, I believe, of the fantasy points in this offense. If Carson plays, which I know that he's questionable, last I heard,
Yeah.
he's going to get a light workload.
Yeah.
They're not, so I wouldn't play him. I would just pencil in.
Either Hyde or Homer. Hyde is a little banged up too.
Yeah.
So I would kind of try to avoid it. But if you have Carson, you probably have Hyde. I think you kind of have to play him.
Yeah, I think it boosts all fantasy aspirations to the wide receivers because I don't think Hyde's going to be effective. He might play the whole game.
I think anybody that you put back there will be effective. Carson is better, yeah. He'll have a higher ceiling, but you still have a safe floor, I think.
You want a car with a flat tire or a car with a, missing wheel? Like, they're both not going to be super effective. They're going to be good, but they're not. Their potential is not going to be there to carry them.
No, the ceiling isn't there, but the floor is.
Right.
I see Hyde's just going to be one of those players through the game, rush him on first down or short down situations. Second and one, third and one.
Bring in
Let Hyde get a Hyde.
DJ, something like that, yeah.
First and goal on the one.
Yeah.
Do you think Hyde can get in?
Yeah.
Do you think he does?
Yeah.
So you think he gets a touchdown?
At least one.
If they get to the goal line.
If he gets to the goal line.
Russell Wilson usually just that's what he's been doing so far, so.
I still like Lockett over DK. I think DK might get a bomb here. This might be one of the games where DK does better. But I think Lockett's floor is so safe. He might get 10 catches this game.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with either receiver starting on your fantasy. They're both going to get those big 30-point numbers in fantasy.
If they go up by a lot and DK isn't doing a whole lot, he might not do a whole lot for the whole game, but he's
That's
involved.
where I'd be worried, is the garbage time at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, the line moved from 6.5 to 7, so people are betting the Dolphins, which is surprising to me. I know they had a monster game last week. They looked really good. It's also a primetime game. I think.
It's Jacksonville.
Yeah, I think Jacksonville just didn't show up. I think Chark missing really hurt that offense. I think Miami is a good team. I think they're in the right direction, but I think they're overinflated here. How do you see this one playing out?
I don't think the Dolphins are going to be able to keep up with this offense. I see Seattle winning 34-24.
Yeah, it's kind of what I have. I have 34-21.
I'm close. I got Seattle 37-20. A lot of those points, I believe, is garbage time points.
Yeah.
Fourth quarter, 7-10 points for Miami.
Yeah, you think Carol Gaskin gets some rushes?
Oh, absolutely. If not receiving.
Why not?
I just think they might be so down that he doesn't get much play. I think he looked really good, though.
I think his time's going to come in the first half. Any numbers he gets. Because then, like I said, now they're going to play catch-up second half. It's going to lead the passing game.
Yeah.
That's where Seattle's been struggling on that passing game because teams have got to play catch-up or keep up with them.
Even if they're playing behind, I still think Gaskin's involved. He's getting a steady amount of targets in this offense. And if they can get to the goal line, he should be the guy to get in, unless they get Howard, which, could be him.
Yeah. Yeah, but like you said, Gaskin, I think, won the passing game in the second half than the running game.
Yeah, but he should be a good floor player.
Mm-hmm.
Really? I think he's a gas can that's going to get lit on fire.
Oh, yeah, I don't want any part of him, but
not this week.
if you get 5 targets a week, that's not bad.
Although it will show testament to their actual rushing defense, because I think he will be used early, and if he's super effective, I mean that's a metric I can't say is accurate at this point. Is their rushing defense right now? So we'll see. I wouldn't bet on Gaskin this week though.
No.
Minnesota Vikings at the Houston Texans.
Minnesota's getting 4.5 in this one, up from 3.5.
That's a big increase. A point.
Yeah. We got the Vikings offensive passing are ranked 28th. Offensive rushing is ranked 8th. No surprise to anybody. Defensive passing, they're ranked 30th. Defensive rushing, 26th. The Texans, their offensive passing is 19th. offensive rushing 31st, defensive passing 3rd, defensive rushing 32nd.
Well, for both these teams, they're not that banged up. Houston is missing A.J. Moore, although he wasn't really a big part of this offense. You go to the other side of the ball for Minnesota, they're missing Mike Hughes on their cornerback, but their defense isn't good at all, so he wasn't helping a whole lot. You go to this offense, and it just runs through Dalvin Cook. You have Justin Jefferson out there who's starting to improve and see a lot more work. And then you have Adam Thielen, who's always going to be there. And with Jefferson there, I think that helps him. What do you guys think about this offense?
Yeah, the over-under is 54. I think this is going to be interesting because I think the Houston Texans have started to get used to life without Hopkins. However, I said early preseason that Cooks and Fuller will equal the production of Hopkins. I don't think they're going to surpass that. So it just gives Deshaun the ability to throw to more than one guy. I think it makes their offense work better, but definitely different. I don't know. If they can grow from what I saw last week, they could win this game. The Vikings, Justin Jefferson did look good. He's going to start on the outside, I believe, for the rest of the year.
Sure.
He had a good game. But I stand by my evaluation the week before. He's not ready to be that guy. And the talent's there. The physicality of him is there. But I just think he could be inconsistent. If he's just more aggressive than the corner, then he's going to beat the corner. And he'll have a good game. But some veteran corners will make him insignificant in this offense. However, just the fact that he is so athletic, I think it's gonna open up some underneath stuff, and I think Thielen is gonna benefit more than Justin Jefferson's gonna actually do, personally.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. What do you think?
I think the Texans, Watson's finally going to get this team started this week. That Vikings defense against the pass is terrible. I see Fuller and Cooks getting the ball more. I see them both getting 100 yards this week. And Watson's finally going to look like the big money quarterback that he should have been looking like the first 3 weeks of the season.
I think they both should lean on the run a little bit more. The Vikings a little more so than the Texans. They both don't have a very good rushing defense, and then they'll just try to take bombs really down the field is how I see it.
Yeah, I think Cooks is gonna have a monster game here. I think David Johnson could have his best game of the year here as well. But I don't know. How do you see this ending up?
I have Minnesota 35-31 in this one, high scoring but close game.
I got the Vikings at 27, Texans at 28. I think the Texans sneak one out here.
I'm close on that. Texans 31, Vikings 27.
Saints at Lions.
The Lions are getting 4.5 up from 3.5 in this game. We got the Saints offensive passing ranked 12th. Their offensive rushing is ranked 23rd. Their defensive passing is ranked 20th. And their defensive rushing is ranked 6th. Lions offensive pass 15th. Offensive run is 22nd. Defensive pass 13th. And defensive rush is 30th.
Team and Saints, they're hurting this week. They are missing a lot of people. Michael Thomas, a lot of people were hopeful that he would play. He's out this week. Jared Cook is out as well. They have offensive tackle Andrews Pete, he's out, and they also have Janoris Jenkins and Marshawn Lattimore, two of their top corners, so their secondary is hurting right now. Marcus Davenport isn't going to be playing on the end for him this week, so this defense for the Saints is really banged up, and I see the Lions taking advantage of it by a lot. And then you go to the other side of the ball with the Lions, and they have C.J. Moore out, their safety. But they also have Desmond Trufant, who popped up on the injury list. He's questionable. He should play, although he has decreased at his level of play over the years with the Falcons, and he's not near what he used to be. They're relying on their rookie, who they drafted this year, mostly, and he isn't doing great, although he isn't terrible. But altogether, as a whole, there should be a lot of points scored in this game, I see.
Yeah, over under's 54, and I think it's a low number personally. I mean, Galladay is gonna be better this week than he was last week. Not only is the matchup better, but he should be more healthy. He didn't play a large percentage of the offense last week. But when he was in, he looked okay. He didn't look like he was gimpy. But you could tell they were limiting him a little bit. That changes. This is a great matchup. I think Galladay has a good game. I think Marvin is going to get soft coverage. They have 2 corners out, and someone's got to cover Galladay. So Marvin Jones, I project to have a really good game, and makes it very interesting because he's going to be a cheap person. Whether you're playing DFS, whether you're playing, fantasy, and you got it.
This should be the week that we've been hoping for throughout the season.
Yeah, so I think Galladay does better, but I think Marvin, because he's so cheap, I think he's going to be a higher value. Kamara's going to do what Kamara does. He's going to get tons of volume. I think in this game, Murray can also be started because the Lions are pretty bad at stopping the run. Even though Murray's just running the ball, I think he's usable if you need a guy to actually start. This is probably going to be one of his best games of the year.
Yeah, Galladay and Jones, I think, is going to benefit from Stafford and that banged up Saints defense. But unfortunately for Detroit, even though there's no Michael Thomas, they can't stop Kamara.
No.
Kamara's going to have another huge day, just like he always does. The only fear is, how long can Kamara keep that up? He keeps taking that workload week after week after week. I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing him getting injured around week 8 to 10, be down for a couple weeks to lick those wounds.
I think Swift is a solid play here. I think Kerryon Johnson could get some more. We're gonna find out by the end of this year what exactly they want to do with these 2 guys. Until then, it's really iffy.
It should be Swift, and I see Kerryon moving on.
They've been running them decent amount. I mean, Adrian Peterson and Kerryon are up at 60-40 split with rushing.
Yeah, right now.
Well, I know. And then Swift is only getting a couple carries, and he's getting the third down work. I can see them moving on from AP because he's just getting older.
Oh, absolutely.
And then just keeping Kerryon as being the running back.
Yeah.
I believe they brought Peterson in as more of a mentor for Swift.
It could be.
Carried a load a little bit this year. Swift kind of takes Swift under his wing a little bit.
Yeah,
They
it could
needed
be.
him.
AP has turned into more of a pounder, kind of like how Tyson turned in more of a one-hit wonder, like a knockout punch guy. But both of them, Tyson and AP, they were known for their speed, their quickness, their agility, and I think now AP's just turned into that one-trick pony. Makes that cut, goes upfield. He's still got big playability, surprisingly. But I like Kerryon. I see him dropped in a lot of leagues, and he's easily a stash for me.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't drop him.
So, how do you see this one playing out?
Well, I think Detroit comes away with the win in this one. I think New Orleans too banged up, 35-31.
Wow, that's a big point. 66. It's 12 points over the over.
I could see this one being the highest scoring game of the week, but there's definitely I think it's pretty safe to go over.
I think the Lions actually go ahead early and then score like 3 points in the fourth quarter and lose 28-27.
Pull Falcons.
Oh, that was a Lions thing before it was a Falcons thing.
I see the Lions keeping it close the first half. The second half, Saints and Kamara open it up. Saints win at 38-24.
Yeah, the thing about the Lions is the head coach is typically a defensive-minded guy. And their offensive game plan is usually pretty good. They come out early, and they play pretty well. And then they get into the locker room, and he just puts all his attention into the defense. And their offense keeps the game plan. So they usually have really good first, second quarters, and then they just level off. They plateau. And the defense actually starts playing better, but their offense struggles. And it's kind of a weird it's a weird game script. Like the Saints are the opposite. They usually start slow. They want to see what the team's giving them, and then they make their adjustments, and then they come back. So I can see them winning at the end of the game.
I don't know. That Lions defense rushing defense ranked 30th. You can see Kamara having a big game. I can see Murray coming up with maybe 60 yards and possibly a touchdown. Wouldn't be surprising.
Yeah, have to utilize him. I think Hawkinson's going to have a good game this one. He has a pretty good floor. He had no less than 4 catches and 53 yards in every game so far this season, and he's starting to see increased volume. So I think he's pretty safe with a high ceiling.
Yeah, and you guys know how I feel about T.J. Hawkinson preseason. But I see a lot more targets going to Jesse James than I thought. And it makes me pull up a little on the gas pedal for T.J. Hawkinson. I think he still has a good game. He has potential to always have a good game.
Yeah, Jesse James only had his targets last week.
Yeah, his ceiling isn't as high as I originally projected.
And I think their plan is involve James more. That's going to give Hawkinson's more one-on-one, more plays for him. I think it's going to open Hawkinson up more. If James has that threat out there.
Cleveland Browns at the Dallas Cowboys.
Browns are getting 4.5, down by 5 from 5.
It's because the Cowboys just fumble a lot.
The Browns' offensive passing is ranked 30th. Their offensive rushing is 3rd. Defensive passing is 22nd. The defensive rushing is ranked 5th. The Cowboys' offensive passing 1st in the league. The offensive rushing is 21st. Defensive passing is 28th. Defensive rushing is 23rd.
All right, so you go to the Cowboys injury report on this one. DeMarcus Lawrence, their defensive end, he's questionable with the knee. He didn't practice. He might not play. But other than that, the Cowboys are all right so far. And then you go down to the Cleveland Browns. They're going to be without Adrian Claiborne, and they're going to be missing Greedy Williams. Denzel Ward, he's still questionable. He might be a game-time decision. And linebacker Tay Davis, he is out. So this defense and secondary is going to be letting up yards to an offense that's already very high-powered. So they shouldn't have problems scoring points in this one. It's just whether or not the Browns can keep up. So I see Odell having a good game because of that, as long as Baker can hit him downfield, because he is open.
Well, Odell has a back issue. He's going to play. It's not severe. But you combine that with the fact that he can't catch a football, and I don't know if he's going to have a very good day.
I think he's going to have a huge day. Dallas secondary is all banged up. They're using guys from practice squad in.
Kareem Hunt didn't pop up on the injury report. He's questionable. He could be a game-time decision. If he doesn't play, that is just even more help for him to have a better game, especially Chubb, too. I see Chubb having a great week.
Yeah, Mayfield's deep accuracy is decent. The rest of his accuracy is terrible. He can't throw very. He's been very inaccurate all season.
Yeah.
However, I think the game plan here is to try to get them over the top. I think this is obvious. And the Cowboys should see it coming. And I think they're going to go with a lot of short runs, passes, screens, slants, and then try to get that matchup to get OBJ over the top. I don't know if it'll be there. I have no faith in Odell Beckham. So
he gets open downfield.
If he gets open, it's going to be because they're so far behind. The Cowboys are going to play soft coverage. I don't think he can actually win in this matchup. It's an easy matchup. I understand.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, he'll be fine, I think.
We'll see. The Browns can't win this game. I think the Cowboys are eventually going to put it all together. They're not this terrible, but they're playing terrible. So I'm surprised the Browns are even getting 4.5. They should be getting like 1, because the Cowboys have not played well. They have signs of playing well, but I think they win this game. I think the Cowboys have potential to put this away early. If the Browns can establish a running game, I think they keep it close and they have a shot to win. But I would rather have a Hooper and Jarvis than an OBJ. I think Kareem Hunt could have a good game this game.
Even if he plays, I'm still nervous to play him.
Well, like I said, I project the Cowboys to just start going up.
Well, yeah.
And then I don't think the Browns really are going to be competent enough in first down targets. They're going to be throwing the short passes. That's how I project the game. They're going to be throwing screens and short pass slants and trying to get them to come up so that they can hit the long ball. And that would benefit Kareem Hunt. I think Chubb is an easy play here. I think he'll get some good yardage on the ground. I don't know. We'll see. The Cowboys should have no trouble scoring points, especially with the Browns' defense.
Absolutely.
And if it gets too far out of the way, I think the Browns become one-dimensional and nothing happens. If they keep it close, then this is going to be a good fantasy day for the Browns. But like I said, if the Cowboys go up by too much, it's not going to be.
I still think it'll be a good fantasy day for the Browns.
I expect Dak Prescott, he's going to keep doing what he's going to keep doing. He's going to put up 400 yards. He's going to put up 3+ touchdowns. He's probably going to rush for one himself. I wouldn't doubt it. The worry I'm having with the Cowboys, the offensive line is still banged up, and for some reason they cannot get Zeke running. Zeke's been fabulous in the passing game, but his rushing has been horrible this year. They got to figure out a way to get Zeke moving, get him done early, keep Prescott from doing 400 yards a game, having to throw, make comebacks every game.
I have Dallas 38-31. I think they should be able to put up points on this defense. It kind of reminds me of the Ravens in the first week when the Browns got blown out, except I think the Browns can keep up a little closer.
The over-under is 56, and I know I got hot takes on this game, but I think it's going to be an under. I have the Browns at 24, Cowboys 28.
I kind of agree with Alex. I think it's going to be a passing game shootout. The Cowboys win at 38-31.
Jacksonville Jaguars versus Cincinnati Bengals.
Stunningly, the Jaguars are getting 3 points in this game.
They're a good team.
I like them.
Yeah.
They're not better than the Bengals.
I think they are this week.
They might be.
Well, the Jaguars' offensive passing is ranked 21st. Their rushing is 19th. Defensive passing is 19th. And their defensive rushing is 15th. The Bengals' offensive passing is 20th. Offensive rushing is 30th. Defensive passing is 6th. And defensive rushing is 31st.
So for the Bengals, on their defensive line, they have Geno Atkins and Michael Daniels out. So that's going to hurt them. And they also have Logan Wilson, their linebacker, out. You go on down to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have Brandon Linder, their center, and Daniel Yaley, I believe, their defensive back, out. Although he wasn't a huge contributor, their center does hurt them. I think Jacksonville is going to win this game. It'll probably be close. But you look at the Bengals, they had John Ross. He was a healthy scratch last week. They put T. Higgins over him, and he had some success last week. He looked pretty good. I like him going forward over Ross. He definitely jumped him on the depth chart. The Jaguars, James Robinson, he's playing fantastic right now. Still, even from behind, he's still getting plenty of points. I see another RB1 this week against the Bengals run defense that is bad. Yeah.
Yeah, Ross is a drop in all fantasy leagues, all dynasty, everything. He's a drop at this point. I don't exactly know what happened, but he is not in favor of the coaching staff. I wouldn't doubt it if he didn't catch another pass the rest of the year. He's last on the depth chart. They actually brought a guy up from the practice squad, and he is now over Ross. So I don't know exactly what happened, but he's a droppable guy. Mixon is trash. So I don't want Mixon ever. If I had him now, I'd sell him on his name value because he's worth more in a trade than actually playing all year. He's probably all right in this game, and he'll be all right all year, but you didn't draft him that high for him to be all right. He might have trouble being a top 24 running back at the end of the year.
I think it's pretty safe for him to be top 24.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be a top 24 running back.
Not with that offensive line.
Even with that offensive line, the volume alone, he's a top 24 back.
I don't think he's top 24 right now.
No, not right now.
I don't think he'll ever reach. He may be there briefly for a week or two.
By the end of the year, he'll finish top 24.
I actually agree with Jay. I don't think Mixon's trash, but I'd trade him while he's high now because he's a bad start.
The only thing
It's not great. It's a safe floor because of the volume, but that ceiling is capped because this team just can't really get a whole lot going right now. But I see that improving as the year goes on.
Yeah, but you can get value out of a trade with him.
He's low right now. I think he'll be higher towards the end of the season.
His name value alone.
Yeah.
In redraft, yeah, probably give him right now. But in dynasty, I think this would be a buy low right here because he's going to do better. His schedule does get a little bit easier for running backs too.
What value would you put him on? Like if you were to trade him away, who would you be targeting that you think you could get with that name?
I'd go young with that name. Go after a rookie, either a Gibson out of Washington, maybe Gaskin out of Miami. Out of a dynasty, you might be able to get a first and early second round pick out of him.
Yeah, I don't know if I would go that route, but I think for example, James Robinson.
Yeah.
I think I could say, hey, here's Mixon and like, I don't know.
Are we sure Robinson's going to stay the starter when Armstead comes back? Though?
I think that's the risk, and that's what gives it a fair evaluation.
You could get James Robinson and then a lower piece, something with upside added onto it, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. People are really high on Robinson. I think you'd have to throw in a little something extra, but I think it would totally be worth it because the only real risk with Robinson is he's playing for his livelihood. He didn't expect to get this position. Now, they have a high draft pick still not in that roster, in that room. Next season, he's going to compete. He's going to do this. But that effort is making him play, I think, better than he probably would normally. I think Robinson could be the guy long term. But just like Lindsey, who plays real hard, looks real good, eventually he's going to get banged up. You can't play that hard in this league being his size and stature. He looks good. Kamara can do it. Woodhead did it. There are people who are just tough as nails. So there's a little bit of risk with him, but I think he's way better to have than Mixon.
Yeah, I like him long term. I think for the full season, he's a top 12 back, but long term, I like Robinson.
Do you think Mixon's a top 24 back?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't.
I don't either.
I think
I don't
you should
believe
put
so.
that on the board.
I believe it's a border.
I'll do that.
All right.
So for you who don't know, this is the board. And the board is what we tie giveaways to. We have a link in the description, explains the board. It's a 2-minute video. Check it out.
My take on Mixon, though, if you want to hold him in Dynasty and hope that Cincinnati builds up that offensive line the next couple of years, why wouldn't you just go ahead and trade him for a rookie like Gibson or a young kid like Gaskin? You're waiting on a couple of years for them anyway. At least you got the younger back then.
I'm not a big fan of Gibson. I think there's a lot more risk involved with him than there would be a Robinson.
I like Gibson. I
like
think,
him.
I think the answer to your question there is because Mixon you can start right now. I think Mixon is a startable running back. I just don't think he's good. Gibson, he's a hold guy. You're not starting him each week. Mixon has potential to give you a game that will help you. I think that's the difference there. But I would rather have the ability on my depth chart to hold a guy like Mixon. The reality is not a lot of people have that.
I wouldn't put Mixon as an RB1 or 2 then. Maybe in the flex, I hope to catch fire with a little bit of value, but I wouldn't put him as
It's
a
hard
starting
for me
running
to
back
put
spot.
him outside of top 24. Would you put David Montgomery inside top 24?
Yes.
Yes.
Then why wouldn't you put Joe Mixon?
Because Mixon's trash.
That offensive line is what hurts
He's
Mixon.
getting more volume,
It's
and
not
he's
even
better.
It's not even the offensive line. It's
Well, the offensive line is a big part of it. He doesn't look that bad when I watch him play. He's getting hit as he's getting the ball. It's just hard for him to do things in that offense.
yeah, the only thing he's good at is beating women.
All right.
I thought Mixon would be a lot more valuable this year with Burrow coming in as a rookie. I thought Mixon would take some more of that pressure off of him, and to me, he just hasn't seemed to.
Well, it's really early.
Yeah. Chark comes back. I don't know if you really want to play him. I don't like playing anyone first game back from injury. However, just putting him on the field.
He was close to playing last week.
Yeah, I know, and that's kind of.
And it
why
was a
I'm
Thursday
torn.
game, so I think he's ready to go for this week, and this offense needs him.
Yeah, and that's why I'm torn because he is by far their best wide receiver. Going out on the field, I like a lot of their weapons if he's out there. It opens a lot of things up. If he's out there and he looks good, Jacksonville wins this game. Minshew reminds me of Fitzmagic. He has those games where they're just really good, and he looks like a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
And then he has these games where he just crumbles, and the majority of the time he's solid. So I don't know. I like Jacksonville. They have a lot of good things going on. I think Robinson is just gonna have a day.
Yeah.
I think he's set up for another big day. And if you don't have him by now on your fantasy team, you're not going to get him.
Yeah, you'd have to pay up for him.
Yeah, Robinson's going to have a big day against that Bengals defense.
Yeah, I just don't want to get too high on Robinson because there is risk involved. Now, if you're in just a yearly league, ride him.
Oh,
If you're
yeah.
if you're playing DFS, he's cheap. Take him. But if you're in a dynasty league, there's a little bit of risk paying
If
a
you can
huge price.
sell high on him, then I think you have to.
Yeah,
But
I
you have
agree.
to sell high.
Yeah, I agree. Just because there's a little risk involved, but I really like him. He looks really good.
I think that with the Jaguars leaning on Robinson, especially this week, hopefully it helps Minshew get his game right. 'Cause if he wants to be the future of that team, he's going to play a lot better than he has the last few weeks. Because the last few weeks was showing me that I can see why Jaguars are looking at quarterbacks in the draft. Maybe Minshew's not the guy. Maybe he's just a better backup.
How do you see this game playing out?
I see the Jaguars winning this one 31-24.
It's pretty close. I have Jacksonville 30, Cincy 24.
You guys are higher on Cincy. I got Jaguars 24-10.
I like Burrow. I think they like him. He's throwing the ball a lot. He's throwing the ball I think the average was 49.8 passes a game. That's a lot for a rookie.
Oh, he's gonna have a good career if they could build around him and just give him some protection. I think he is gonna have a good career there.
Yeah, he'll progress, yeah.
Indianapolis Colts at the Chicago Bears. The Bears.
Bears.
The Bears are getting 2.5 in this one.
That's not enough.
Not enough.
The Colts' offensive passing is 10th. Their offensive rushing is 15th. The Colts' defensive passing is ranked first in the league, and their defensive rushing is ranked 4th. The Bears' offensive passing is 23rd. Offensive rushing is 11th. Defensive passing is 17th. Defensive rushing is 17th.
I will say that those numbers are a little bit inflated because the Colts haven't played the amount of good talent the Bears have. Bears had a little bit tougher time up to this point. I mean, they haven't had to play the Jets, boost all their stats. But the Colts, in my opinion, are a playoff team, and the Bears are not.
If that offense can get going, yeah, they can go in the playoffs because this defense is looking pretty good right now. But for the Bears, they don't really have a whole lot of injuries. I mean, you have Tariq Cohen, but I mean, anything new, there isn't really a whole lot. You go down to Indy and Pittman, he's on IR. Hines, he's questionable. They are going to be without their cornerback, TJ Carey. So this defense for Indy should be intact, but this Bears offense, I expect it to be improved with Foles coming around. He came back, beat the Falcons. He looked good. It does help that it was a quarterback switch, but who are the Colts throwing to? Hilton? That's about it. I mean, you got Pascal.
But Hilton has been unproductive all year.
Yeah, he's
dropping
not even,
so many passes.
He's not even top 50.
He has not been dependable at all.
Yeah. I think they lean on Hines. As long as he plays, he should. And Jonathan Taylor running the ball just out of the backfield all day.
To me, the Bears are the most overrated 3-0 team in the league.
Maybe.
I don't believe they.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 3-0, good for them, but they shouldn't be.
Yeah, like I said in preseason, Trubisky is terrible. He's terrible. So Chicago with Foles, they're better. How much better? I don't know. But I will say this. Historically speaking, when there's a quarterback switch in a game, it always provides a spark. Defenses prepare for the starter. They don't have the same reads on a backup. They don't have the same plays that they do for a backup. So he looked good. He looked better than Trubisky. Not by a whole lot, but I think that you have to understand that there's always a spark because the defense isn't planned for you.
He did make mistakes, but there was dropped interceptions by the defense.
Yeah. That brings me to my second point. Mooney got to play. He's a second teamer. He's a nobody. He came in because the backup quarterback is on the second team. So the timing routes, roughly 41% of all plays in the NFL are timing routes. His timing routes were set up with Mooney. Mooney got called up with him. This normally happens. It's usually a game, sometimes two, but then he goes back down to the second team, and you will never see him again. He's not a guy you want to pick up. Anthony Miller, I think, will have a good game. I like him better than Allen Robinson. Not because he's better, but he just fits Foles. He's close to Mooney in his speed, and I think Foles is just he's gonna rely on him more. I think he's gonna get more targets. I think Allen's better wide receiver. I think Allen will probably get the touchdowns as well, but I think Anthony Miller kind of fits Foles a little better than what he's used to. We'll see. I mean, Graham, I've been big on Graham all year. He got a whopping 88% increase when Foles came into the game.
He's been coming through.
So I'm not saying he's a tight end one here. He's like the best guy in the league, but I think he was already pretty solid. I think he gets a little bump with Foles. How much? I don't know. I think he's startable. I think he's a top 12 tight end at the end of the year, but he might be 12th. I think that's about where I have him. This looks like a Naheem game. I don't know if it will be. I know he's got some issues, but the Colts have a top defense. T.Y. Hilton has a tough matchup. I don't know. I kind of think this is gonna be Indy controls the game, and Chicago tries to get back into it. I don't know if there's a lot of fantasy points unless you're a Bears wide receiver or a Colts running back.
Yeah.
Unless it's really close and competitive, then, everybody has some fun. All right, how do you see this game playing out?
I think the Bears are going to win 24-17. I don't think the Colts have the weapons. I mean, they have Taylor and Hines, but other than that, I don't think Hilton can get it done through the air enough for them to win this game. I think the Bears win it.
Over-under is 45. I have it right at 45. I think Indy wins 28-17.
I got it right at 45 as well, but I got Colts winning 24-21. I think it's going to be a close game, but the Colts come out.
Arizona Cardinals versus the Carolina Panthers.
Panthers are getting 4 in this one, up from 3.5. The Cardinals' offensive passing is ranked 13th. Their offensive rushing is 7th. Defensive passing is 8th. Defensive rushing is 12th. The Panthers' offensive passing is 9th. Offensive rushing is a dismal 26th. Their defensive passing is 24th, and their defensive rushing is 21st.
For the Cardinals this week, they're going to be without 2 safeties, Budda Baker and Chris Banjo. So that's going to hurt their secondary this week. You have Carolina, who might be without defensive end Gross Matos this week. He's dealing with an illness. He might be able to play, but other than that, they should have most of their guys. I definitely think that this is going to be a high-scoring game. You go over to the Arizona Cardinals secondary again, and you have Patrick Peterson, but he's not exactly what he used to be. I see a lot of points being scored in this game.
Yeah, I think Robbie could struggle with Patrick Peterson, mainly because his play in his offense is kind of cross, outs, slants. And Patrick Peterson, he's a strong, big-bodied guy. Could take out the inside, could slow him up, press coverage. But he's not what he once was. So I think on the deep passes, I think Robbie could be just fine. But we'll see. I think DJ Moore is starting to look better in this offense. This might be a game where DJ Moore outplays Robbie, but I think Robbie's still startable. I think he'll be okay. Hopkins has the best matchup of all wide receivers this week. Historically, he's played through injury. He's actually only missed one game. It was a Week 17 game where they were already in the playoff. Like they didn't really need, or they didn't need to push him. So he's gonna play in this game. He'll probably be effective because historically speaking, he has always been. So I don't know. I'm really hesitant to play someone who's projected to have a high ankle sprain, and it hasn't really come out exactly what he has. They just say ankle, but I think it was fine. And the matchup's so juicy that you gotta play him in all places. DFS, you gotta play him because he could have a monster game. I do like Kirk.
Isabella too. Kirk's a little banged up.
Isabella does what Hopkins does. So, yeah, he'll get in, but it's usually with like Hopkins being kind of really covered, where they like double, triple team him. Then they just put Isabella out there. Isabella's good.
Well, do you think Hopkins plays a full complement of snaps this week?
I do.
Yeah? Okay.
I do. I don't think there's
He's not limited
reason,
at all.
I don't think there's a reason that they're going to limit him. He says he's ready to go. Historically, he's been fine. He knows his body. He's a veteran at this point. He knows how to take care of it. So I think he's fine. So I really, really like Isabella. I don't know if he's going to have the game like he had last week, where Hopkins kind of started to still, he got his ankle and they took him out a little. But we'll see. I would grab Isabella for the long term, like in dynasty leagues, if you have those available spots. But I'm excited to see this game because I think the Panthers' defense is better than they're showing, and I think their offense is just now starting to get the things moving. So I wouldn't be surprised. And this is my upset game of the week. Just so you guys know.
Panthers.
Panthers. I think the Panthers win. Forget the points. Pick them straight up.
I don't like the Panthers in this game without McCaffrey. McCaffrey's a good decoy out there for Bridgewater. Bridgewater seems to have a better game with McCaffrey in there. DJ Moore and all of them, they are good receivers. Bridgewater can throw to them. But without McCaffrey, without that threat, see more pass rushers coming in. Putting Bridgewater under duress.
The thing that makes Carolina unique is because the way you take their offense out is you play disciplined, short zone coverage. The thing that makes them good is you can't do that. You can't do that because Robbie's too fast. DJ Moore's too fast. And if they start running down the sideline, you can't have a bump coverage. You can't have a guy hand off to that player. There's going to be a window. And they'll exploit that window. So it's forcing everyone to be mostly in a man, and it's going to cause like slant routes where the guy gets a little tunnel and he's just open, right? Because everyone's behind. Everyone's following these receivers. And the play design just does it that way. I think McCaffrey would have been good in this offense. Don't get me wrong. But he's not going to change what they do in any way. He just kind of gives them that run game. But he wants a pounder. He doesn't necessarily want a McCaffrey. He'll love to have him. He'll use him. He'll be okay. But he's got to at least have a year or half a year to design him into the format. Because right now he's just trying to install. Kind of like how I saw with the Jets and Le'Veon Bell. He didn't really use him the way he should have been used. He needs some time to actually install that part. He's got to come up with that way. So I don't think it hurts him that bad that he's not there. Matt Rule likes his running backs. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's translated more to the wide receivers than the running backs. I think he'll be just with Mike Davis.
Yeah,
I think he'll be just fine.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine without McCaffrey.
It really depends because Carolina last week looked like they were starting to get it. and they were playing that way. Their defense should have had 3 picks last week. So,
Speaking of 3 picks, Murray didn't look as good as what you guys were claiming him out to be.
and that's what I'm trying to get to. I love Murray, and he's going to have good weeks. But he coming off a bad game. He didn't look good.
He looked awful.
So whatever that defense did, and at Carolina, I'm just saying is better. Their defense is better than what it's showing. That's why I'm projecting this upset here, because I think Carolina's going to have a bunch of passing, a bunch of fantasy points. I don't know if they can win this game. Bridgewater is your safe. Get the ball to the guy. He doesn't have a giant arm. He doesn't have great legs.
You can get it to him.
But he can get it to him, and he can run. And I think they're just starting to get things together. I think Carolina is a better team than they're showing. And I think the Cardinals are coming a little bit back down to reality. They were huge. I don't know if they're that good. I like them as a team. But I think this is a good setup for an upset. And that's why I'm really excited to watch this game.
It's possible.
Yeah, it should be a fast-paced game in this one, high scoring. I like Drake in this one. I think he's going to have a pretty great week this week. The Panthers defense, they've allowed the second most fantasy points to running backs, and they have a 5 yards per carry average to them, which is 26 in the league. And they've also allowed the most TDs on the ground to running backs. So this defense is hurting against the run, and I think Kenny Drake can take advantage of that. And Edmonds, too, because he's also involved in this offense.
Yeah, well, Edmonds is all around a better back, but Drake has the opportunities, so
He's the one.
Drake will be okay. I think this kind of to me sets up like a passing running back situation.
Well, yeah, they're going to pass it to him.
Carolina's
That's how they utilize their running backs.
I understand that, but Edmonds usually gets the catches.
think
So I don't know. I don't know if Kenyon Drake can get on the outside. Panthers have good DNs that can contain. They're a little susceptible up the middle, so we'll see. I think they're both startable this week. I would be a little hesitant on Edmonds because if he doesn't get that passing work, he's nothing. But I don't think Drake's going to blow anyone out of the water.
No, I can see him maybe 80, 85 yards, touchdown
I
maybe.
think that's generous.
Yeah.
I think this will be his best week so far.
That's not saying much.
Maybe not, but I think he'll have a good week this week.
But Drake's a good RB2. I'd start him.
High end, yeah.
I think Mike Davis will be real close to Drake. I don't think he does better than him, but I think he'll be closer than you think.
Maybe close, yeah, but I think Drake beats him, yeah.
How do you see this game playing out?
I see Carolina taking this one 33-30.
Oh, you have Carolina as well, the upset.
I do.
That's high scoring. I don't know if it's going to be that high scoring. I have the Carolina 27, Cardinals 24.
The over under 52, I went under. I'm the only one taking the Cardinals in this one, 27-20.
Got the Little Giants and the Los Angeles Rams.
Giants are getting 14 in this one.
Is that enough?
It's going to be bad.
I don't know because the metrics that I've looked at and used showed the Rams here every week, and they've produced here. So I think the Rams aren't necessarily as good as we think. They're way better than the Giants. 14 points, probably about right. They're probably going to win about that. But I don't know. I'm starting to pull back on the Rams just a little bit. And I don't really have a reason. I just don't believe these numbers anymore. That's 2 weeks in a row that they've underproduced what was projected. Not by a lot, but I don't know.
I'm okay with them.
Yeah, don't be high on the Giants because that offense. The offensive passing is 26th. The offensive rushing is last in the league, 32nd. Their defense is playing better. The defensive passing is 10th, but the defensive rushing is 20th. The Rams' offensive passing is 7th. Offensive rushing is 4th. The Rams are struggling at defense because their passing is ranked 21st and their rushing is ranked 18th.
For this one, the Giants, they're going to be without their safety, Jabril Peppers, and the Rams are going to be without Cam Akers still. But they shouldn't really need him. The Rams should be playing ahead for most of the game, obviously. So I think that helps set up Henderson to have a pretty great game this week. As far as Woods and Cup, I think whichever one really gets it first until they slow down later in the game. Otherwise, it might just be one of them that gets it. What do you guys see?
I think Henderson has a good game this week. I think he looks like Gurley. I think he is a running back one. Easy. I think Woods is set up for a big game too. I like Woods over Cup because I like the volume. I think it's going to get to a point where they're up by a lot. You know, they run the ball, yeah, but then they need the first down to keep the clock going. So it's Woods with the slant, first down. So I like them. I like them too the most. The Giants, however, they're going to attack the middle of the field because the Rams got destroyed last week in the middle of the field. So who does that? Ingram, Tate. Slayton is not the guy you want this week. The defense it's going to be a pretty New York type football game where it's not going to be pretty, but there's going to be some good fantasy numbers in this game. I can see 4, maybe 5 playable players in this game. With Henderson, Woods, I would play Ingram. I would play Tate. I think you could play possibly Goff, but I don't know if the volume's going to be there, but he might get 2-3 touchdowns. So
I think Cup's a little safer.
I think Cup's playable, but I don't necessarily think... I think Woods is going to have a better game. Just because he's going to have those...
I think Cup's going to have a better game because Woods should be going up against Bradbury. Bradbury's been pretty good in coverage. The biggest thing with him is at the line of scrimmage. And Woods does do good at the line of scrimmage. He's able to take a screen of the house. So, I mean, that I think is going to be how he beats Bradbury. And if he doesn't do it like that, I think Cup has the game.
I think Cup is going to be effective early. Get the deep passes, get the score up. The second half, I see Henderson getting a lot more work because then it's garbage time. Giants got to try and play catch up the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So he's not going to need Cup. He's not going to need Woods as much. Maybe on third and longs, but other than that, where the Giants are getting lucky right now is because the Jets are getting all the attention out there in New York. But it's not going to take long for the fans to turn on the Giants as well.
He's had a rough schedule to start.
They both have, but that's still not an excuse. You had Rippon start for the first time as an undrafted QB.
Yeah, but it was against the Jets.
As a rookie.
The Jets.
He looked.
The Jets.
He threw 3 picks, but he did it looking good. There's a difference. These quarterbacks shouldn't be looking as bad as they're looking. So, honestly, I think the Giants step up a little in this game. It's not going to be enough. I don't think they're even able to cover the 14 points. But we'll see. I think there's going to be some good showing in the Giants. They're not going to be as a dumpster fire as they've been.
My question with the Giants is they picked up Freeman. Freeman's always been a solid back from what I've seen of him.
Saquon couldn't do anything.
Exactly.
Their offensive line is just
That's
not
where
good.
I don't know if I feel bad for Freeman or is this a chance for him to show what he really has? Because if you can go to a dumpster fire like the Giants,
Well, the
and
best part
prove
of
yourself well?
Freeman is the receiving. He's a better receiver than he is a rusher, and they have Deion Lewis already there, who was the pass catcher. So I don't like Freeman.
Yeah, let's face it. Freeman's there for the money. He's not going to get another opportunity. He just wants the money. He's not going to have effort. He's not going to lay down. He's not going to die for this team.
yeah, but if he's going to want a contract for next year, he's got to prove his
He's
worth.
not going to get a contract for next year. This is a 1-year
Not for the
contract.
Giants.
This is his
Not for
way
the
of
Giants.
getting a contract next year.
I think, but
He
if Freeman
was a-
wants to go to another team,
He was a free agent up until the end of week 2.
Yeah, not saying he's good.
A year later, he's not getting a contract. This is the last you'll see Freeman.
He might.
This is
Somebody
the
gets
last
injured
you'll
again.
see Freeman.
that's why I said he's got to prove his worth. If he can succeed with the Giants,
He doesn't even have to do good.
he can get
to
a contract next year.
No, there's too much talent out there for cheaper money.
Well, why is
For
he on
him.
a team right now then?
Just because he was the veteran.
That's going to happen next year
No,
too.
It's not. No, it's not. This will be his final year. You want to put me on a board? Because that's a fact.
I mean, he's old. I mean, it could be, but he
He's
could
not gonna-
go
he's
another
not
year
gonna
and get
be
a backup.
He doesn't have enough rapport to be a Frank Gore. He doesn't have enough good tape to be AP. And the Giants right here are not going to give him good tape. He's going to be maybe 2.7 yard per carry average all year. His only option to be successful is if he catches passes out of the backfield, which
That's what he does best.
they have better players to do that on a roster.
Yeah, they brought him in to do it.
Do you think Freeman's gonna help out enough to take some of the pressure off of Jones?
No.
No.
No? Ooh. Yeah, I don't think so either.
I wouldn't pick him up if he was free on the Fab.
I mean, the Giants just alone's a dumpster fire. The offensive line is bad. They don't have the receivers. They're not doing a very good job helping out Jones to develop at all.
I do believe in Danny Jones. I just don't think he's going to look good this year.
No,
I hope
agree.
they don't move on from him. I think he's got potential.
Yeah, they should definitely hold on to him.
I mean, look at these teams. You have young quarterbacks getting surrounded by talent. You have Hopkins coming in. You have any one of these guys. You look at any rookie, any young quarterback in the league. Pat Mahomes, loaded. Like, who do the Giants have? Who do the Jets have?
Nobody.
It's like they just expect this guy to just come in and take over. There isn't.
Sometimes they do.
Every young quarterback in the NFL has at least one elite wide receiver, except for the Giants and the Jets, and that's why they're struggling, and they're going to continue to struggle.
Yep.
How do you see this game playing out?
I see the Rams win 31-17, right at that 14.
Yeah, I have a little bit closer, 34-20 Rams.
I have the Rams blowing that spread out. 38-17.
I mean, I think the Rams are going to win, but I think in garbage time, the Giants will close the gap a little bit.
That's where I think Giants are going to get some of their points to garbage time. Yeah.
I think it could very well end up 31-10.
Maybe.
It could.
Maybe. Buffalo Bills, the Las Vegas Raiders.
Raiders are getting 3 in this one.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about the Raiders anymore. He got schooled by Billy. Belichick had a very unique play against the Raiders, and Gruden didn't have an answer for it.
He was ready.
Yeah, what he did, what they did, the Patriots took away all the underneath routes. They took away the middle and underneath routes. And it caught him off guard because he doesn't have Ruggs. He didn't design a play. He didn't call a play to go deep. It wasn't in the play calling. And every time they tried to go underneath, there's 2-3 guys there. And Gruden just couldn't. And then he tried to switch at halftime and come up with a different scenario. And Belichick anticipated. He set it up. It trapped him. Gruden got outplayed. I think he lost a lot of self-confidence in himself because the way it played out was very fun. I don't know. I think he's going to try to play it safe against the Bills, and I think that ends up hurting him this week.
The Bills' passing offense is ranked 2nd in the league. The rushing is ranked 24th. Their defensive passing is 27th, and they're 8th against the run. The Raiders' offensive passing is 14th, and their offensive rushing is 14th. Their defensive passing is 16th, and their defensive rushing is 28th.
So for the Bills, they'll be without their linebacker, Delshon Phillips. But other than that, they should have most of their players. They might be missing their offensive tackle, but other than that, they should be fairly good. The Las Vegas Raiders, they're still going to be without Brian Edwards. It looks like Henry Ruggs is going to miss another week with a hamstring, and Rico Gafford is highly doubtful with a hamstring as well. So this Raiders offense is hurting for weapons right now. I mean, they have Waller and they have Jacobs, but other than that, it's hard to rely on Renfro, although he does have some boom weeks. And then you go to the Bills. John Brown, he was a little banged up, but I think he should play. But Diggs he's the 1A in this offense.
Yeah, the Bills are the real deal. Josh Allen in the last 14 games has 33 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. That's way better than I would have imagined. Apparently, he's a good quarterback.
We tried to tell you that, didn't we?
I said he was a good fantasy quarterback. I didn't realize he'd be this good of an actual quarterback.
I knew he'd be a good fantasy quarterback. I didn't know he was this good at actually being a quarterback. If Renfro's the only wide receiver you could play, it should be good. I mean, Waller, you could start. He'll be solid. I definitely not starting Singletary with Moss. I think Moss might actually have better numbers this week.
He's still questionable.
They're both not real good. I don't know if that's the way you want to go. But I think this is going to be a very lopsided game.
You do?
I do. The final score is not going to show that. But if you watch the game, it's going to be controlled the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, I think Josh Allen, I mean, he is for real, him and Diggs. There could be an argument that they could be a top 5 quarterback receiver in the league. Tandem. The Bills are just clicking on all cylinders right now.
They are.
Especially in that passing game.
Yeah.
But I do worry about the running, as you said, Singletary, Moss. I'd be hesitant on starting either one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to play him. If anything, probably I would play Singletary over Moss, but I wouldn't expect a big week, although he did have a decent week last week. It should be a little bit easier this week for him.
And honestly, I think Allen, Diggs, Brown, I think they're going to have big games because the Bills' passing defense is not great. It helps that the Raiders got a lot of banged up receivers, but I see Waller having a pretty good week this week.
Well, let's touch on that because the Bills' passing defense is supposed to be great, and they haven't necessarily been that way. Is that an issue? Are the Bills' secondary not as good as we originally thought?
I'm not that concerned about it. Tre'Davious White is still good in coverage, and he was a big part of their defense. As long as he's solid, I think this defense holds intact because the line's still there.
Yeah, because they have not really done tremendous in the secondary. I really don't think the Raiders are a bad team.
No.
I just think they're having trouble finding their identity because from week 1, they played an entirely different team, or they played like an entirely different team than they did week 2. And then week 3, they really got outplayed in general to make them look back, look inward, and think, who are we? What are we doing here? So I think this is just a spot where the Raiders lose just for those reasons. I think they have to come up with an identity that they actually want to believe in. Because they had 2 game plans. They both looked okay, but they were different. And then to lose the way they lost, not necessarily that it was a bad loss. It was just they
got out of control towards the end.
They couldn't do what they were trying to do, which makes you look inward like, what were we doing wrong? So I think they're going to be a little different this week, which I don't know how this is going to play out. I don't know if the Bills are going to just beat up on them because they don't know who they are, or the Bills don't know how to plan for this team because they don't know who they're getting. So I think it's going to be a game where you either believe in the Raiders, you believe in the Bills. I believe in the Bills. But I could easily think, okay, the Raiders came out to play because I think I think the Bills are still a better team, but I think it's really close. And this week it might not show that way. If I was a gambling man, I wouldn't be betting this game, is what I'm saying. As much as I like the Bills.
I think the Raiders are going to surprise everybody this week. I think that there's going to be somebody have a big game that nobody's going to expect. Because it's the Raiders, they're going to be focusing on Renfro, focusing on Jacobs, focusing on Waller. There's going to be a receiver to have a big game, come out of nowhere. And I think that's going to help the Raiders because the Bills are not going to expect it either.
Who is that receiver?
That's remains to be seen. But I think it's going to be somebody. Somebody's going to have that light coverage 75% of the game, and that's going to be the target. I think Gruden, after that beating last week, he comes out with a different game plan because Gruden's a good enough coach. I believe he comes out with a new game plan. He's got something in mind. I see something happening with the Raiders this week. Some surprise.
He just doesn't want to say it. Do you think Aguilar?
No.
No?
Do you think Zay Jones?
I like Zay Jones.
I like Zay Jones.
think
Zay
he
Jones
does?
could be that guy. Aguilar,
I don't think either of them are that guy.
it wouldn't surprise me, but stranger things have happened in this league.
It's hard because if you put Zay Jones and Aguilar on the outside, I think the Jets could man coverage both of them. And they have no ability. Their hands are good. Their physical stature is what you kind of want, but they don't know how to run routes. They don't know how to run routes without giving it away before they make their break. It makes it too easy for them to be covered. So one could get a good read or has been working, and we just haven't seen it yet. But I don't know. It's not bad. Maybe. But
I think they just had that one upset career game. Don't go pick them up in fantasy. Don't jump all over their bandwagon. It's going to be a one-time deal. But I think it's just something that's going to surprise the Bills.
If you were to take a shot on one of them in DFS, because they got to be free.
They got to be the minimum. Yeah.
You might get money back by using one of these players. Which one would you take?
Right, Aguilar.
Who would you take?
I would take Aguilar.
I'd take Zay Jones. This game has 52.5 over under. How do you see it playing out?
I think the Bills come away 28-24.
Okay. I think the Bills win 27-24. Like I said, I think that's the final score. But I really think the Bills are going to control this game start to finish. I don't think anyone's going to feel like it's going to be they could win it at the end. I think it's just that's kind of the way the score is going to end up.
I agree on the score, but I think it's a Raiders upset this week. I think the Raiders win it 27-24.
Philadelphia versus the Niners. Sunday night game.
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia is getting 7 points in this one.
I don't think that's enough.
Well, this is the thing.
Even with the banged up Niners.
This is the thing. The Niners are last year's Steelers. There are tons of injuries. And they look just fine.
It's a great offense. Just run.
And they're still finding ways to win.
Yeah.
That's why, I mean, if these people eventually should come back.
They have Kittle back this week. That's a big piece right there.
I think what we need to think about is when these players come back, it's kind of like week 1 for them. I think Kittle might be fine.
I think Kittle will be fine. I think it'll hurt maybe Garoppolo a little more.
I think there's going to be players who come back that struggle at least a game or two, and I think it actually hurts them by getting healthy.
I think the running backs will be fine, though.
I think what's helping the 49ers, they got a pretty good defense, and that's keeping them in the games better.
It is banged up, though.
Their whole team is.
They lost their
the
two
whole team
best
is
defensive
banged up.
linemen in Bosa and Solomon.
But Wentz is terrible, so 7's not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially since the Eagles' offensive passing is ranked 24th. Their offensive rushing is 17th. Their defensive passing 7th, and their defensive rushing is ranked 9th. The Niners are 15th on offensive passing, 12th in rushing. The 49ers defense is ranked 2nd against the pass, and against the run, they are 16th.
So the Eagles, they don't really have anybody to throw to. Do you have Deshaun Jackson out? Alshon Jeffrey's still out. Arcega Whiteside, he doesn't look like he's going to play. Rager's on IR. Goddard, he got put on IR. So you have Greg Ward as the last man standing back there.
Him.
I mean, volume alone,
You're going to need more than him, though.
No, I like him in general. I think he runs a good route. He's got good hands. I have never heard of this guy until 2 weeks ago.
Maybe.
And then last week I saw him.
I mean,
and I just had to indulge on Greg Ward. And I went back.
Indulge.
He'll probably be starting for the rest of the year with as many injuries they have, so he has a shot.
I think if he continues to play the way he's playing, he might be their starter moving forward.
Well, he's number 1 for now, so.
Yeah.
I like the kid. I don't know. It was really only 1 week of production, but come on, the diving catch, that was nice.
Yeah, but 90% of the receivers in the league can do that.
Fair enough.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But not all the time does a guy come out of nowhere that has that ability. And
true.
you take him. You find a play spot for this guy. He's like how I was talking about Gage in week 1.
Yeah, but that's
I
a
said
lot
Gage
better of an
earned a
offense,
spot.
though.
He earned a role.
Greg
Gage-
Ward didn't earn a role, though.
I think he will. By the time these people get healthy and come back, I think Ward.
Thing
will
is,
be good.
though, when do
This-
you, if you're Philadelphia, how long do you wait? Deshaun Jackson's been beat up the last few years. They were playing a whole season. Jeffrey's been beat up the last few years. When do you give up on these guys and start getting some young receivers in that team?
That's what I'm saying.
I think they're relying on Rager a lot this year and the tight ends.
If you're in a dynasty league, you get him especially. If you're in a year-long league, maybe you don't use your number 1 waiver prior. Maybe you don't use all your fab money, but try to get him. But in a dynasty, I like this kid.
On Ward?
I like Ward.
I mean, he'd be cheap.
That's
but-
and that's typically with a dynasty. You have your starters and you have your hopefuls.
I mean, it depends on who I'd
that's
have.
one of those
If I had an
spots that,
open
like-
spot, then yeah, I mean, I could take a shot on him, but I'm not wasting a spot for him.
He's not as good as Gage, but he's the same type of person. I saw Gage, I see Ward, and I like both of them. I'm sorry.
We're on injuries.
Oh, well, other than Ward, I mean, you have Ertz. He's the other pass option. And then you have Miles Sanders, who I like this week the most. That's where the Niners are hurting the most on their defense. I think that's where they try to go through this week for the Eagles, try to take a little pressure off Wentz, do some dump offs, stuff like that.
Yeah, did you go over the injuries?
Yeah. Well, for the Eagles, I guess for the Niners, really, I mean, I could tell you who is playing.
It's probably a shorter list.
So they have
Anything new?
They have McKinnon. That's going to be their primary back this week, other than Wilson. He popped up in the injury report, but he should be fine to go. And then you have Kittle coming back, which should open up that running game a little bit more. Even if he's not full go, it just takes pressure off of him, really. And then you have their defense. They're missing most of their defense, really. So they still find ways to win, and pretty easily, too. It's kind of surprising.
I think any 49er running back is going to be solid. I think I'm starting to like Boston Scott. Starting to like him. I mean, I wouldn't.
He did good at the end of the last year, but this year he got hurt early, and Sanders is the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with that. I'm starting to like Boston Scott. I mean, I would take a shot on Greg Ward. I mean, other than that, the Eagles are
Staying
not
away.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think if they were healthy, Wentz would be any better.
I think he would, because that offensive line is banged up bad.
No,
Wentz-
Wentz
pretty
is
garbage.
making good decisions when he throws the ball. He is just not getting the ball to where it needs to be.
And that's why he's not a top quarterback.
The ball's
I don't
not-
think Wentz is going to be a top quarterback.
He knows where to go with the ball. He's just having trouble getting it there. I think he can get there. I mean, we're 2 years away from saying he could have been the MVP and then he got hurt. The talent is there with Wentz.
What year?
It was 2 or 3 years ago.
I know, but was it his rookie year?
I don't think so. I think it was the year after his rookie year.
I don't remember. I've never been a fan of Wentz. Yeah, he's an escape artist. He can scramble. All right, but he's not a good quarterback. He's got the ability. He's got the arm talent. He's not inaccurate.
He just makes
He's
bad decisions.
He's a dummy.
I don't think he makes bad decisions. I think he's a little inaccurate.
Well, you said it yourself. I mean, he's throwing the ball, but he's not getting it to where he wants it.
Yeah, he's
That's
making the right decisions and where it should be. He's just having trouble getting
just
it to
can't
that
get it
spot.
there.
It's his accuracy,
He's
but he
awful.
knows what to do and where to go with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I get what you're saying. I'm telling you that it's the wrong decision, and the inaccuracy is because he's trying to throw them open. He is accurate.
Maybe.
He's not pulling the trigger the time frame he needs to pull the
He's
trigger.
missed some open receivers.
You have to throw before receivers break, and he doesn't trust them, which I totally understand.
Yeah.
So he's got to see it, then he fires it, and it's off because he knows the corner is going to jump it, right? So he's trying to throw him open, and he's just maybe I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that he just doesn't trust these guys, and it's making him look bad. A lot of receivers quarterbacks go
It
through
might.
this.
I mean, I'm not trying to take all the blame off him. He isn't playing well, but I mean, as a whole, this offense is just really in trouble.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is going to be a very ugly game.
All right. If you think Wentz is, if every receiver was healthy, if Philadelphia was completely healthy, do you believe that they are a better team
Oh, absolutely.
with Wentz behind
If
center?
you get Alshon Jeffrey back, you get Deshaun Jackson back, them two alone, I mean, that's huge. And then if you can fix their line, bring back their linemen, he can actually get time back there, and he doesn't have to try to escape every single play because he's getting pressure in his face. I think it helps big time this team's healthy.
Yeah, I think they're a better team to get healthy, obviously, but I think
But are they a playoff team?
no.
In that division, yes.
That'd be
Yeah.
tough. I think Dallas is just waiting to get in their groove. I think they're going to win the division.
They're
Yeah,
waiting.
Giants and Washington are gas dumpster fires. But
Giants, no. Washington, no.
I don't
but
see the-
I think they can contend with the Cowboys if they were healthy.
If they were healthy, I think they're about equal to Washington.
I like the Cowboys. I think they're a great team, but through the years past, I can't just give it to them.
I think the Eagles are equal to the Washington right now, the Washington football team. I think the Cowboys aren't that far ahead until they start showing it.
yeah,
You know,
that's been my argument with Prescott. You want that big boy money? Be a big boy quarterback. They shouldn't have to play from behind every game.
yeah.
But
So-
Sanders, to me, he's the only value on the Eagles that I'd want.
Yeah,
He'd be the only
best
players
guy
I'd want
right
on
now.
fantasy on that team.
yeah, I don't think Wentz is the guy.
No, I don't believe so either.
And I don't think you're going to hear anything this year. You might hear little rumblings. But next season, if he doesn't play like they need him to be, you're going to start hearing them moving on from him. And I think Wentz is going to become a journeyman because I think he can still play.
He becomes an Andy Dalton. He'll become a backup on somebody's team.
He can come
But it
play
won't
for
be
the
with
Patriots.
Philadelphia.
Yeah. So over-under's 45. How do you see it playing out?
I'm going to take the Niners 27-17.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give less credit to the Eagles. I take the Niners 27-10.
I gave less credit to the Eagles, too. I got them Niners 31-10.
I had a few people ask, are we a fantasy show? Are we an analyst show? Are we an analytics show? And my answer to this is everything. Because all people use the same information. We're just talking about it. I want to help people gamble on sports because it's fun. Not because I'm not going to give you lines necessarily so you can play and make money. I want to teach you how to look at those lines, how to use them to predict your fantasy. So when you play fantasy football, you have an understanding of that player. When you gamble, you have an understanding of that team. And then you can see matchups. An example of this, Pat Mahomes, over under, 325 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 50 rushing. That's the over under. Lamar Jackson, passing was 250, right? So he got the edge. 100 yards in rushing, which he had the edge, but it wasn't by much. And he had 1 touchdown. So Vegas told you Mahomes was the guy you wanted. And if you would have just looked at that and took it face value, you would have been just fine. Doesn't always work that way. But that's why we intermingling the lines with our metrics, fantasy, and gambling. I'm not saying everyone should gamble, but you should be on the site and look at these numbers to make your decisions. You can use the link in the description. It's an affiliate link. You don't have to play. You don't have to put money on it. Gets you to the site. We use BetUS for several reasons. You can use whatever you want. But I just want to make that clear. We're primarily all of those things. We like Dynasty, but fantasy is fantasy. We look at the lines, so we might as well play them. I play them, it's fun. right? I'm going to have a video in the future breaking down what negative 110 means. What going from 4.5 to 3.5 means. So that wraps it up for this show. Just so you guys know, every Sunday morning, we're here to break these games down. There's a couple games we skimped over. I don't think the Patriots game is actually going to play this week. I think it's going to be rescheduled. But too many things change, and it doesn't really matter what the take we have, because if you were to start somebody in your fantasy team and then you push it back and they end up not playing, it's going to hurt you. I think you need to actually find somebody that's either Monday night or a completely different person that you can swap to. It's too risky to play anyone from either one of those teams right now. I mean, it stinks, but we all knew this was coming with COVID. Now, if you become a Patreon member, we have all this broken down in our Discord. You get that as one of the several things. Also, you have us at the availability 24 hours a day. I would say it's going to take a half hour or so to actually get back to you if you ask a question on Discord. But I guarantee you at least 2 hours. And if you have a trade question, if you have a gambling question, if you have any kind of question, we should get back to you relatively. That's the place you want to be if you want those questions asked punctually. If you want to just ask a question for the show, you can leave an email. You can join us on Facebook, ask it there.
Leave a comment.
Leave a comment on the video. On Twitter, tweet us. It's all good. But till then, I can see you tomorrow when we wrap up what happened today. Later.
Thank you.
Enjoy football.